Ito pong mga unprogrammed appropriations na ito, in my understanding of our constitutional framework on budget, ay walang espasyo sa General Appropriations Act. They are riders because they are not or they do not provide for specific sources of funding. Kasi nga, sa kinabukasan pa sila makikita kung merong excess. Ang mas masama, hindi po alam kung sino ang pwedeng mag-release, whether it is the President or his secretaries in DBM, etc., etc. Talagang nakita na yung mga risk for misuse and abuse. And I said earlier that this unconstitutional framework where you have UAs chained to the General Appropriations Act, hindi po makasya sa isang maleta eh. Several maletas. Kaya po ang dapat gawin natin dyan ay to cut off those chains with a chainsaw, hindi lang knife. Kasi hindi po kayang i-cut off ng simpleng knife yan. Napakabigat ng mga UA na yan such that it will require a chainsaw to cut off those whisks. My questions will be brief and they will be very direct. And I'd like to ask them from the Solicitor General.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Solgen. I have some slides to share with you and everyone. So let's begin. I have an acronym for unprogrammed appropriations. IHUAS. For me, they stand for I hate unprogrammed appropriations. And I've already said so in my separate concurring and dissenting opinion in the Pimentel case. There. Where, among others, I bluntly said and wrote, among others, that unprogrammed appropriations in any form are unconstitutional. My opinion, Madam Solgen, is, in my reckoning, it stands on very solid constitutional grounds, and I'll show you why. The constitutional framework for the national budget is, of course, spread over several constitutional provisions. But hearing from our amicis, specifically former Budget Secretary Abad, it is an accountability framework. And taking that cue from Secretary Abad, it is a rigid budget with purpose-specific spending. Why? Article 7, Section 22 requires the President to submit to Congress within that period of 30 days a budget of expenditures and sources of financing. That is the BESF. And for me, and my which is based on my very clear understanding of the constitutional provisions, the BESF can only refer to program appropriations and automatic appropriations. They can never include unprogrammed appropriations. And hearing from you earlier, they can only be found in the National Expenditure Program, which is the so-called President's budget. But the Constitution does not refer to a NEP. It refers to a BESF. Now, Article 6, Section 25, subparagraph 2, complements Article 7, Section 22. It says, no provision or enactment shall be embraced in the General Appropriations Bill unless it relates specifically to some particular provision therein. Any such provision or enactment shall be limited in its operation to the appropriation to which it relates. And that is my basis for saying that the constitutional framework, insofar as our budget is concerned, is one that is rigid and with purpose-specific spending architecture. So, you are articulating for the government an interpretation of these constitutional provisions, one that is flexible. Isn't it, Madam Soljan? I have a problem
To a
with the
certain
word
extent.
flexibility or fiscal flexibility, as you said. Flexibility comes from the word flexible or flex. No? And another word for flex is bend. Are you advocating bending the Constitution?
Definitely not, Your Honor.
Why is that, Madam Soljan? Because with your argument for flexibility in that you are advancing and program appropriations to be within the framework of the government, even though it is not in the BESF, it is still to be considered as fiscal flexibility.
Your Honor, it is the submission of the respondents that the mention of budget of expenditures and sources of financing is found under the section on executive, which is a requirement for the President to submit that as a basis of the budget that will be passed by the GAA. But the Congress, being the one that has the power of the purse, it is not required that it will just adopt what the President has proposed, as has been ruled in Philconsa case by the Supreme Court as well. So
Yeah,
it is
exactly, Soljan. No? Because after all, the second phase of the budget cycle is budget legislation. That's where Congress comes in and deliberates on the proposal of the President on the basis of the BESF and the NEP, isn't it?
yes, Your Honor.
Anyway, let me continue. So, next slide, please. The framework that I'm referring to is that the GAB would be based on a budget of expenditures and sources of financing. Relatedly, if there is need to come up with new revenues to address some future needs of the government, the Constitution also provides for Article 6, Section 25, Paragraph 4, referring to Special Appropriations Bill. Next slide, please. The constitutional mechanisms for budgetary responsiveness in such cases are the following. And you can see that in this slide. So kung kulang po ang pondo based dun sa GAA, ang aking pananaw at pananaw ng marami ay yan ay matutugunan ng supplemental budget na kaya naman palang ipasa in less than 2 months. So that's section 25(2) of Article 6 or 7 in the form of a special appropriations bill. And it would have to be coupled with funds actually available as certified by the National Treasurer or funds to be raised by a corresponding revenue proposal. Ang Constitution po natin hindi nagtatapos sa supplemental budget para matugunan ang mga ibang pangangailangan ng gobyerno sa kinabukasan. Ano po yung pangalawa? Meron yung Article 6, Section 25(5). Yan po yung power of the President, the Speaker, the Chief Justice, etc. to realign funds within their respective departments. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your
In
Honor.
fact, that provision was the subject of the Araulio ruling. Hindi rin nagtatapos sa Article 6, Section 25, Paragraph 5. In the GAA itself, you have provisions for contingency funds. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, klarong-klaro po sa atin na ang constitutional mechanisms for budgetary responsiveness are there. We don't need UAs, Madam Solgen, because they are too risky for me. They are so risky and heavy na hindi sila makakasya sa isang maleta. They need to be encased in several maletas. So, let's go back to the budget cycle, just to be clear about it further. So, yan po yung ating budget preparation cycle, Madam Solgen. Unang-una po dyan, yung budget preparation, na-explain na ng mabuti ni Saj and Justice Ben kung anong nangyayari sa budget preparation. Pagdating sa budget legislation, sinasabit ng Presidente yung ating sinasabing BESF kasama ang NEP, ang kanyang message to Congress at yung staffing pattern. Hindi po ba? Apat yan eh. Ngayon po, sa budget preparation, yung budget message, hindi ko na i-explain yan, just to be short. Yung budget of expenditures and sources of financing, this is a budget document that reflects the annual program of estimated expenditures and sources of financing, including receipts from existing and proposed revenue measures, which is constitutionally mandated to be submitted by the President to Congress as the basis of the GAB. Yun namang NEP ay may pagkakaiba sa BESF. Although ang sinasabi ko nga po, ang Constitution natin ay mas pinangahalagahan ang BESF at hindi ang NEP. Ang NEP naman is the budget document that contains the details of the proposed programs of the government that it submits to Congress. It serves as the basis of the General Appropriations Bill, which becomes the GAA upon enactment. So pagdating sa second phase, yung budget legislation, andyan na yung House deliberations at ang Senate deliberations matapos ang deliberations sa House. Magkakaroon ngayon ng bicameral conference committee deliberations. And then there is ratification and enrollment. And finally, these are submitted to the President for enactment. The enactment of the budget or the budget legislation phase ends when the President already signs the GAA into law. And that's where he can veto items, exercising those powers as vested to him by the Constitution. So yun po yung buong cycle, Madam Solgen. Now let me just go to some specifics. And there is this table that I happened to stumble on. It came from Budget Brief number 1 of the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department of the House of Representatives. Nandyan po. Let me just validate or ask by way of questions from the DBM representative kung tama po yung table na yan. May I request your budget representative to come to the rostrum? At pakisilip po kung tama ang inyong nakikita sa monitor. If you will see, Council, taking a look at Table 1 under 2024 and 2025 columns, the total expenditure program for 2024 amounted to 5767.6. Tama po, no? Yan yung enacted budget for 2024. At yun namang 2025, ang enacted budget or appropriations, or total expenditure program ay 6326.3. Pero sa itaas po niyan ng total expenditure program and under total available appropriations ay niles yung UAs. So less under 2024, 731.4, and then under 2025, less yung 363.4. Is there a reason why hindi po isinisama yung UAs sa total expenditure program?
Your Honor, the unprogrammed appropriations are excluded because the sources of financing are different from the sources of financing for the programmed appropriations.
Because they are triggered in the future. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And in that sense, the source of funding is not therefore clear at the time of the enactment of the budget.
Your Honor, may I respond to that?
Yes, please. Because yun naman ang pananaw ko, Madam Soljen, kung bakit itong unprogrammed appropriations, walang kinalalagyan yan sa budget dapat. Kasi nga po, hindi klaro yung sources of financing. They're not even considered expenditure at the time of enactment.
Your Honor, the sources of financing of the unprogrammed appropriations also refer to the sources of financing in the BESF, but there is a target when breached will then be the source of financing. Secondly, Your Honor, it is also our position that even in the programmed appropriations, the requirement under the Constitution is that instead of receipts, the constitutional provision says sources of financing based on existing or proposed revenues, which are also not existing at the time of enactment, Your Honor.
But you have a technical meaning for excess, hindi po ba? Kung saan manggagaling yung UAs.
Yes,
So
Your
saan po
Honor.
papasok yung excess sa sources of financing? Tama po kayo, yung panggagalingan ng excess ay identified, hindi po ba?
Tama po, Your Honor.
Pag nagka-excess, dun siya matitrigger.
Tama po, Your Honor.
Post-enactment already. Hindi po ba?
Yes,
At ang
Your-
pag-release niya is also post-enactment. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor. It
And
will be the execution.
that's where congressional discretion in the argument of the Erice petition becomes discretionary. I mean, congressional discretion is surrendered to the executive department. It is now the executive department, according to the Erice petition, that is now exercising where to spend the excess funds.
Your
Hindi po
Honor,
ba?
Hindi po ganoon ang posisyon ng respondents sapagkat pag po pinasa ng Congress sa GAA, ito po ay mga na-identify na rin nila na purposes, na programs, in-identify na din po ang specific amounts. Ang hindi
Except
na
the
lamang
excess, kasi nga hindi nyo alam eh.
po, opo. So,
Hindi po ba? So pag nakaroon ng excess, doon lang malalaman how much. And yung excess na yan, malaking problema po yan. Kasi at the time of enactment, hindi pa yan present. Hindi po ba? So yung discretion ng Congress to determine how much should be appropriated for a particular government activity is not there. Contrary to what the Constitution provides.
Your Honor, if I may,
Sure, Madam Sol.
if I may clarify,
I'm sorry kung medyo
I understand
emotional po
po,
tayo kasi talagang matindi po ang hate ko sa UAs.
naintindihan po natin at pare-pareho po tayong
Ihuwas po talaga yan sa akin. I really hate program appropriations.
so, Your Honor,
And I'm sure many of our fellow Filipinos feel the same way.
opo.
Please,
Opo.
Sojen, I'm sorry.
Tama naman po iyon. Ang position lamang po ng government ay maigi po ngayong panahon na ito na ang composition ng Supreme Court ay maalam, matalas sa economics. Subalit, ang position po ng government ay if there are functions that are lodged in the different and co-equal branches of government, then the limits to those powers should also be defined by the Constitution. And that is what we are saying, that based on the textually demonstrable requirements for the budget, which the respondents are acknowledging that there are limits, they are not unbounded power, but it is our very respectful submission that if the judiciary will be the one to give the guardrails or what should be how the budget should be implemented, I most respectfully proffer the position of the respondents that will make the judiciary a super branch and not a co-equal branch, if I may.
We will never be that, Madam Soljen. Kaya po tayo nag-i-hearing ngayon, merong petition na hinabla ang mga petitioners. And it's our constitutional duty to hear these cases. And we have, in fact, constitutional jurisdiction over these cases on the basis of our expanded power of judicial review. Anyway, going back to my slides po, Madam Soljen. Next slide, please. So sa ngayon, ang ating GAA ay ganyan ang itsura. Merong total expenditure programs at naka-chain doon, nakatali yung unprogrammed appropriations. So there are those three triggers, Madam Soljen. Yung excess non-tax revenues, new revenue measures, at yung AFPs, approved loans for foreign assisted projects. And just to repeat, ito pong mga unprogrammed appropriations na ito, in my understanding of our constitutional framework on budget, ay walang espasyo sa General Appropriations Act. They are riders because they are not, or they do not provide for specific sources of funding. Kasi nga, sa kinabukasan pa sila makikita kung merong excess. Ang mas masama, hindi po alam kung sino ang pwedeng mag-release, whether it is the President or his secretaries in DBM, etc., etc. So yun po ang aking pananaw kung bakit ang UA, if contained in the GAA, ay rider. At yung pong inyong mga sinasabing triggers, yung tatlong yan, excess non-tax, new revenue measures, approved loans, very clear po sa ating limang amici, kahit po si Congressman Salceda nagsasabi mismo, itong mga UA na ito ay risky. Ang position nga po ni former Congressman Salceda, dagdagan ang mga guardrails. Kasi nga po, talagang nakita na yung mga risk for misuse and abuse. And I said earlier that this unconstitutional framework where you have UAs chained to the General Appropriations Act, hindi po makasya sa isang maleta eh. Several maletas. Kaya po ang dapat gawin natin dyan ay to cut off those chains with a chainsaw, hindi lang knife. Kasi hindi po kayang i-cut off ng simpleng knife yan. Napakabigat ng mga UA na yan such that it will require a chainsaw to cut off those risks. So that's my position, Madam Soljen,
Your
with
Honor.
regard to UAs.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes, please.
May I clarify that what amicus former Congressman Joey Salceda, if my understanding is correct, is that he agrees that there should be guardrails, and that's why he included in his presentation the bills that he has authored, which are in the House and also in the Senate, because his solution is for the guardrails for the Congress to pass a law, for example, to set the deficit target, to put in a law which will set the framework, the fiscal framework, which will be observed by every administration. So I think that the point that he was making is that after every constitution, there was an accompanying budget law which did not happen in the 1987 Constitution. There is a pending bill, and therefore, to continue to comply with the requirement that the form, content, and manner of preparation should be prescribed in a law was what Congressman Joey Salceda was advocating for.
Yeah, tama
If
po
I-
kayo doon, Madam Soljen. Binasa ko yung napakagandang presentation ni former Congressman Salceda. Sinabi po niya doon, yung both program and unprogram funds palaging may risk. Pero tanggalin na po natin yung unprogram funds, Congressman Salceda, kasi napaka-risky niya compared po sa mga risk sa program appropriations. You remove the UAs, you remove the risk for misuse. So yan po ang aking pananaw dyan. Gusto ko lang pong tumutok sa isang foreign assisted project. Ito yung Metro Manila Subway Project na discuss na ito ni Justice Ben. Ito pong subway project na yan, I happen to live in Mindanao Avenue. At ilang years na po kaming traffic dun sa Mindanao Avenue because yung pangunahing istasyon ng subway ay nasa magsisimula po sa malapit po sa bahay ko eh. So traffic po kami doon. Ang press release po ng gobyerno, matatapos po yung subway na ito, makakatulong sa ating mga kababayan, it will spur economic growth within NCR and for the country, is that it will be finished by 2028. Hindi po ba?
Yes,
But that's not going to happen anymore, Madam Soljen, because of what happened in the budgeting process with regard to the funds for the subway project. Ang panibagong timeline po ngayon sa subway project na yan, ang setback ay 5 years. Kung ako po ay tama ang aking recollection sa mga nababasa ko at nakikita sa TV. So setback. Ibig sabihin po niyan, yung 5 taon na yan, magbabayad tayo ng mga commitment fee. mga interest payments. Panibagong, alam niyo na po kung anong ibig sabihin, Madam Solicitor General. And there goes the table regarding the budget for that subway. Makikita po ninyo dyan sa table na yan, noong 2019, meron ng program funds yan na 13 billion. The following year, 38.6. 2021, 21.1. 2022, 3 billion. 2023, 25 billion. Biglang nawala po noong 2024. Pati po yung loan proceeds nawala noong 2024. Nawala din yung local counterpart noong 2024. Kaya po under the year 2024, NA, andun. Ngayon po, mapapansin ninyo, noong 2023, merong total program funds na 25.1 para sa project na yan. Pero dun sa loan proceeds na galing sa lender, biglang nawala. Yung local counterpart, meron pa rin, 25.1. Gusto ko lang pong malaman, bakit po kaya nawala yung loan proceeds noong 2023? Pero merong local counterpart. Does this mean that the lender stopped the release of the loan proceeds?
Your Honor, I do not have the answer. It is our position that it goes to the policy question. We might hate the decisions, or we might make a determination that it is an unsound decision and it isn't good for the public, but we did not get any information and we did not ask why and how they put the items in the appropriation when they did.
I think that's fair enough. By way of an answer, Madam Solgen, we would not know, no? Pero kung ikaw ay nagpapautang at bigla mong tinigil yung pagpapautang mo, may problema yung nangungutang para sa akin. Ngayon po, noong 2024, nawala din yung total program, yung loan proceeds at yung local counterpart. At nagsimula lang pong umusad ulit noong 2025 at 2026. Lahat po ito ay nasa unprogrammed funds, FAP Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ngayon po, itong subway project na ito ay flagship project ng gobyerno. Matagal na po nating inaasam itong subway na ito. In fact, in my research, itong blueprint for this subway project was came up during the time of former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. in the late 70s. Ganun po katagal yung subway project na yan. At nabuhay lang po ulit nung panahon ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Pero nasaan program funds po siya? Ang iniisip ko po, kung ito ay flagship project at talagang makakatulong sa ating mga kababayan, bakit po nasa unprogrammed funding or unprogrammed funds where there is risk of corruption that the funds will be misused at yung iba pang factors na negative that comes with unprogrammed appropriations, Madam Solgen. Bakit hindi na lang po siya sa program funds? That way, program yung local counterpart funding, program yung lender's part of the obligation or the proceeds, I mean, at tuloy-tuloy ang project. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor. It is the position of the respondents that it goes again to a policy question
Policy
of the
question,
Congress.
yes.
May I elaborate,
Yes.
Your Honor? Thank you. And maybe perhaps it is also important to understand the rationale behind the separation of powers. The Constitution is patterned after the U.S. Constitution, which really wanted a proper check and balance to the executive. For example, in the U.S. experience, when the president wanted to support the Vietnam War, all the Congress had to do was to withhold the funding so that the troops can go home. So that means that, because you are correct in your observations, in your comments, that why is it that there are movements from the program to unprogrammed if they are priorities? But we could also ask the question, why is it that the Constitution gave the power of the purse to the Congress, who are more in touch with the particular interests and have a local view, rather than, why not to the executive, which has the expertise of the DBM and all the studies? So why is it that it is lodged in Congress? And if I may proffer, Your Honor, it is a very important check and balance that is being designed by the Constitution for the Congress to be a check to an executive who might also be abusing its own power. So they are checking each other.
Precisely, Madam Soljen. Alam po ninyo, nabanggit niyo ang United States of America, after whom our Constitution was patterned. Sa aking intindi sa budget process sa Amerika, wala yata silang unprogrammed appropriations. Kaya nga po nakakaroon sila ng government lockdown eh. At itong si Donald Trump, nangangailangan ng pondo para ituloy pa ang kanyang military campaign sa Middle East, humihingi ng panibagong pondo sa Kongreso. That's how they do it in the United States. Kung makikita nga po ni Donald Trump itong UAs natin, he will turn into somebody like Jerry Maguire. Alam niyo po kung bakit? Alam niyo po si Jerry Maguire? An early 90s movie by
Yes po.
where
Naalala.
Tom Cruise
Opo.
and Renee Zellweger,
You Had Me at Hello
appeared,
po.
no? Napanood po ninyo yun, Madam Soljen.
Yes
Very
po.
lovely and romantic movie. Nung makita po ni Tom Cruise si Renee Zellweger, yung asawa niya na gustong kumalas sa kanya, sabi ni Tom Cruise kay Renee, "You complete me." Kung ito pong UA, makita ni Donald Trump, maniwala kayo sa akin, sasabihin niya sa UA, you complete me because I can continue with my wars in the Middle East without congressional approval and oversight. Yan po ang isang risk ng unprogrammed appropriations if it is in the context of the United States of America Constitution. Pero ang pinag-uusapan po natin ay Constitution ng Pilipinas. At sa aking paniwala, sa aking matinding research sa constitutional framework regarding our budget, wala pong espasyo ang unprogrammed appropriations sa ating national budget. Maraming salamat po, Madam Solicitor General. Chief, I'm finished. Good afternoon to everybody.
Thank you po, Your Honor.